Welcome to the Midlands Climate Conversations. I'm your host, Vivainashi Chigar, and today we are joined by Mr. T. Madanzi from the Department of Agronomy and Horticulture at the Midlands State University. Today we want to talk about nyaya yekusuka mbeu tobva tanodya. Recently we have a case that happened in Mwenezi in Mazetese, where a family of 5, they actually ate this treated seed, and as a result, vanhu vakafa, with 5 people who died as a result of this. So we want to hear from an expert from the agriculture side, how these seeds affect us when we eat, because it's a culture that has been ongoing in Zimbabwe.
No, thank you very much. Seed production in Zimbabwe and many countries, including South Africa and any other country which produces seed for the market, is treated with different chemicals. So I will talk about 2 different chemicals that are normally put in 2 types of crops. I'll start off with maize. When you produce seed maize for the market, you want that seed maize to remain in good quality. And every chemical which is put on that maize has a certain purpose. So you all know that in storage, maize is affected by storage pests like weevils.
Yes.
So for the maize that we produce in Zimbabwe or any other country, that maize is treated with insecticides. And I'll give just one example of an insecticide that is put in maize, Deltaprim. Deltaprim is a pyrethroid which is used to control weevils in storage. Now, Deltaprim contains chemicals that can be harmful to humans. So when consumed, those chemicals can affect different humans in different ways. For example, it can cause skin irritation, or it can affect your eyes, or it can affect your respiratory system, or your nervous system. Now, depending on the type of chemical that has been applied to the seed, once you consume it, it can either cause you minor illnesses like vomiting and nausea, but it can also be very fatal. When the family faces hunger, people tend to try to wash away the chemical, dry the seed, and either boil it as mungai or take it to the grinding mill. So when you do that, you are not sure on whether you've removed the chemical or not.
Yes.
This chemical is meant to kill, but to kill insects,
yes,
which affect the seed in storage. Now, when you consume something which is meant to kill and protect the seed, you do not know the consequences which would happen to you.
Yes.
So that's one set of I've spoken about maize. I would want to join this discussion with beans,
yes,
and other legumes. Similarly, when a family buys bean seed, or receives bean seed from maybe the Presidential Input Support Scheme, or from Vudza, and for some reason there is no relish in the house, and somebody then thinks that perhaps let me consume this bean, they will not see the chemical. But in beans, normally the chemical which is put in beans are fungicides, or legumes. Usually these are fungicides like Captan, like Thyram. You will not see that chemical, that this bean has been treated. But on every pocket of seed, when you see a paper which is sewn onto the pocket of seed, when you read the instructions or the warnings which are put on that seed, they will tell you the type of chemical which has been put on that seed. Now, for beans, people don't see any color. For maize, the color which you see on maize seed, for seed it could be green. For barley seed, it could be pink. That's a warning to farmers that this seed has been treated. The reason why you don't see grain which is meant for consumption not having any color is simply because there's no warning. So the green color which you see on your maize seed is a warning. The pink color which you see on your maize seed is also a warning. But when you come to legumes like beans, like groundnuts, like soybean, you will not see any color. So people then tend to consume and that seed thinking that it is not treated. It is treated. So you then find that if it comes to legumes like beans, farmers don't really take that process which they do of washing and trying to do whatever. And they were now taking a fungicide in its raw form. And still the consequences that you find when I made the example of maize, in maize, it's still the same.
So moving further, what has perpetuated this culture of eating treated seeds knowingly? You know, this is a culture. I come up from a rural area in Mwenezi. I also grew up eating this. This is not normal, but it has become normal in our society. How is it so?
I also grew up in Chiredzi, which is a neighboring district with you.
Yes.
And my father ran Shigayo, grinding mills.
Yes.
And during the 1992 drought, it was very apparent that when there was nothing to eat in the home, the last resort was going to be, would become the seed, which has been kept from the previous season.
Exactly.
So it is desperation than a culture. It is really desperation than a culture which forces people to use seed. It is, and also of course lack of knowledge. I've given the example of beans for a purpose because you don't see any warning on beans.
Yes.
Bean seed which is treated looks the same like bean seed which is being taken directly from the field and into the pot.
Okay.
So in the case of beans, people would assume that the bean has not been treated. Any seed which you find, whether it's vegetable seed and you want to eat it, or it's a legume seed or maize seed, do not take that kind of seed. It is treated. There is a chemical to preserve and prolong the lifespan of that seed.
Thank you so much for that elaboration. Now that we are living in an era of climate change, where we are facing droughts, we are facing these shifts in terms of season and rainfall.
Yes.
Rainfall patterns. How can we relate this to this behavior of eating treated seeds? Can we say that climate change is also fueling this behavior to some extent?
It certainly is. We have delayed start to the rain season. Unpredictable rainfall patterns.
Yes.
We have very high temperature. So, for example, if we have a very short season, growing season. So, for example, if a family which wanted to grow their crop on 5 hectares only manages to grow a crop on 1 hectare because the rain came and it is gone within a month.
Yes.
They are then left with a lot of seed in their storage. And when they then face any food problem, out of desperation, the next thing they do is to try to use that seed. So climate change is perpetuating, you know, what every farmer is planning to do in a particular season. And this is one of the reasons why they are now left with seed as the only food source at a particular moment in a calendar year. So basically it is very short growing seasons, not allowing the farmer to fully utilize all the land that they have, or it's the rain has not come at all, like the 2023-2024 rain season. In certain areas there was no rain whatsoever, but people have seed.
Yes.
And they don't have the grain to eat. So already you can see why people then resort back to the seed that they have. That will be the only option at certain times of their life within that particular year. So then they are then forced by circumstances to resort to the grain, to the seed, which is already treated with some chemical. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. T. Madanzi, for your overview of how communities are taking up these seeds and how it is linked to our ever-changing climate. We thank you so much for your views. Do you have any last comments or any last words to our viewers?
Perhaps I just need to say, let's learn to, when we have leftover seed, let's keep it properly. High temperature and moisture are two factors that lead to deterioration of your seed. So if you have any leftover seed, let it be kept by the most senior person in a household under cool and dry conditions. And let it be kept under lock and key so that even children are not tempted to use seed for food.
From the Midlands Climate Conversations and the team behind the camera, we would like to thank you. Until we meet next week, no one knows about it until we talk about it.